And welcome to the Super Terb Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Turbot, your local real estate expert with the Turbot Group, aka Super Terb, aka Coach Terb, where we talk real estate, business, sports, and beer in the triangle. And I am pumped for my featured guest today, a good friend of mine and my coach, Mike Wood from the Mike Wood team at Remax Professionals out of Reno, Nevada. I wanted him to come on, tell his story, tell why he loves what he does, helps people win, both real estate and in life. Also, he's co-founder to a phenomenal coaching group that I'm in, Be Great Coaching and Consulting. So I'm excited to have him on the podcast to, again, just talk real estate, talk shop. So I'm really pumped. But before I bring him on, I like to do, guys, is have my real estate update. And one thing I touched on this week, guys, again, for anybody out there listening, it's Michael Turbot. I'm out of the 919, the Triangle, the Raleigh-Durham area. And I started this podcast a few years ago to talk to local business owners, entrepreneurs, real estate agents, anybody to tell their story and to just see why they're great. And on top of that, we always like to provide real estate updates. And in this case, I want to talk about just this market in general and what we're getting a lot of calls and texts about for buyers that are knowing they want to move. Maybe they're running out of space. Maybe they want that backyard. They want that office space, a nursery, but they're tied to a phenomenal interest rate that they're not quite ready to move. However, their eyes are open. So buyers that are out there, what we're doing is we're having clients reach out to us and we're setting them up on a search. We're just getting them started. We're having them talk to our preferred lenders, get a game plan in place, talk about budgeting, because guys, when these rates either drop or you find that dream home or that next home, we want to be ready to rock and roll. So if there's anything we can be doing to help you accomplish real estate goals, please reach out to us. We'd be honored to help you. So with saying that, further ado, I'm going to take a quick break and we're going to bring the one and only Mike Wood onto the stage. And welcome back to the Super Terb Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Michael Turbot, your local real estate expert with the Turbot Group, aka Super Terb, aka Coach Terb, with episode 74. And I'm going to bring the one and only Mike Wood to the stage. Say what up, Mike.
What's up, brother? How are you?
Thanks for coming on, man. This is awesome. You're sitting about 3 hours earlier than me, live and direct from Reno, Nevada. I know I've said your name a couple times, but tell everybody listening back at Apple, Spotify, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube land, your name and where you're from.
Dude, my name is so complicated. It's Mike Wood, a.k.a. Mike Wood, a.k.a. Mike
That's a lot of AKAs.
A lot of AKAs, man. I'm in Reno, Nevada. Beautiful Reno, Nevada today.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So I mentioned in the introduction, I'm sharing you to the Facebook page right now too. So I want to make sure I tag everybody so they know to join us live. And if they have any questions, they can hit us up.
Favorite.
You're a rock star agent, award-winning agent, top produce agent, also coaching. How long you been in real estate?
Oh, this is my 20th year right now. Yeah, just the beginning.
Yeah. I'm in year 18, man. It seems like there's something new every day, right? You and I had a conversation yesterday about something you never expect happen, and it comes through, right?
Yeah.
Did you do anything before real estate?
Yeah, I was a bartender. I was a human resources manager. I was a sales manager. I have a degree in accounting that I used for a number of years. I'm really good at creating Excel spreadsheets, but I'm not really good at sitting in an office staring at a computer all day, not talking to people. So the bartending led to real estate.
So you've been in the people business though.
That's it.
Working with people, having conversations. So what made you get into real estate? What you say, what was that moment says, you know what, I want to go help people buy and sell homes and make miracles happen?
I got into real estate because I was investing in properties. And to be honest with you, I didn't want to pay an agent to sell a house when I thought I could do a better job of it. So I figured I'd get my license and I would just handle my own properties. Two things happened right then. One, I realized over the short term that you should never sell property. You should always just acquire and hold forever. And two, I realized that by helping a few people at the very beginning of my career, almost by accident, that I actually really enjoyed it. So what started as a side hustle for me in my own business became something that I like to do. And my mom was in real estate. She sold for Coldwell Banker out of Sacramento, and then she did new home sales for a long time. So I had exposure to the job itself, but I did not have a positive connotation about the word realtor, and I didn't want to be one. And then I realized I just enjoyed it too much and I may as well embrace it. So I am a cheesy real estate agent.
There you go. Now, when you first started, so 20 years ago, you started as an independent agent, and who were you with?
Yeah, actually, I started with a company here in Reno that is a privately owned local company. They had a great training program, and I thought, man, that's if I'm going to do it, that's where I'm going to go and do it. So wonderful, like 3-month, university boot camp type thing. And I was with them for about 2 years, and then I switched over underneath the Remax brokerage, and I've been with Remax since.
Now, then you may have said this, but when was the time you said, I'm going to start a team?
Oh gosh, the time I started a team was about 2012.
Now, was that because you were about to lose your mind with clients and running around, or what was that defining moment to say, I need help? Because I think a lot of agents out there that are listening to this, as well as the people you coach, they know they may need help, but they're afraid to take that step. They don't want to. They don't know how to handle. Maybe they're delegating and or that stress of, oh my gosh, I may have to support somebody if I don't sell a house. So what was that moment like?
So for me, it was the realization that I did not have the bandwidth. I didn't have the systems in place to take care of the number of people that were raising their hand at the time. That's exactly, I was overwhelmed. And a lot of guilt came with that too, because then I felt I was failing the people that were looking to me. So I realized I needed somebody to handle paperwork on the back end. And then I realized I still can't, even with that leverage, which frees you up a lot to engage with clients, I still needed help. So that's where my first buyer agent came in.
So that was your first hire. Was it a buyer agent or was it like an admin?
Oh, dude, my first hire was an admin that I didn't know how to train. So I went to another guy that already had a team and had a great executive assistant. And I asked that executive assistant if I could pay her during her lunch hour to train my new assistant. So I paid her cash on a daily basis to train my new one. And then my very first assistant became a buyer's agent for me.
Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah.
So right now in current day, what's your team look like?
So right now we've got 7 agents that specifically handle buyers, although they can do listings also. I have 1 executive assistant, and then we have 3 other people that are all admin that handle anything from marketing to builder listings, which I handle a couple builder listings here in town. So everybody has, they're kind of siloed in their job duties, but they also overlap to support each other. So the nice thing is any of my agents can go on vacation. They don't have to worry about showings or missing appointments, things like that. So just a big, it's taken a long time, but I've got a good group of people that work together for the common goal, which is the client.
That's it. And as far as your agents go, and they come on board, because I think a lot of team leaders or people that want to grow is part of the business that they provide. Is that are they prospecting themselves, or do they get leads, or how do you provide that, or what kind of systems do you have set up for them to get better or reach their goals?
A couple different ways. Number one is we teach them to prospect. So we have systems in place for them to work their own database. And the idea is always take care of the people that already know, like, and trust you. But we also do have lead generation systems that bring in leads. So they get a combination of both. They have a split that varies a little bit between them acquiring the client and me providing the client. So there's plenty of things for them to do. I encourage them. I don't mandate, but it's pretty close to mandating. It's kind of like when your wife says you don't have to do it, but you probably should.
Yeah.
Like open houses, things like that, because I want them active. I want them out. I want them being seen and engaging.
This is great. So do you guys have daily meetings, weekly meetings? Do you have huddles? Do you have a certain time they need to be in the office? Certain times they can work from home, or how do you go about doing that?
So
because I know the biggest thing with the agent's accountability, right? So there's that fine line. You want to make sure you're there, but they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Because if I can't see them, they're not working, right?
Right.
That's the idea. That's the team leader philosophy.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple things in place. Number one, every Monday, 9:30, we have a meeting. That's when they have to be there. Otherwise, I'd like to see them in the office a couple hours a day. But if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, they're going to be out showing property. There'll be inspections, things like that. But we do have an accountability piece, and that is run through Follow Up Boss in our case. And it tracks the number of calls, the number of emails, their engagement, how much they're actually putting into my lead system. So,
got it.
And then we have a leaderboard, and
you do have a leaderboard. I like that.
Trying to make
that's my coaching in me. I love that.
Yeah.
And I know for you to be doing 20 years and how you run your team, you are always creating raving fans. And I guess my question would be, what would separate the Mike Wood team from someone else there in your area? What are they getting when they reach out to you versus someone else?
Well, I'd like to say that they get personalized attention. Now, we've got 3,700 agents in my town, and it's the 80-20 rule. 20% of them do 80% of the business. And there are some good teams that I compete with. In fact, there are some really great agents that I don't mind losing to, in all honesty. So I think the points of differentiation would be, the personalization of not just I have to sell a house, I got to buy a house, but sitting down, having an hour to 2 hour conversation of what are the goals, what's behind the goals. What I found is that clients or prospective clients will tell you so much, but I need to know the why behind the why. Like, don't just give me the simple stuff. We're going to sell a house. Okay, why? And I give you an example. Yesterday, we met with a client, sold their house 2 years ago, purchased a new one. The reason this client purchased a new one is they had just gotten married, and that spouse was not part of the original purchase of that home. So sometimes when two adults get together, one person's living in a home, the other one moves in. The one that moves in feels like, hey, this wasn't really my house. I wasn't here when you bought it. You were with somebody else. So they got rid of that house. Those two bought a house together. Well, one left. So now I've got a single person with 3 kids that has a 2.5% mortgage. Every single transaction is a little bit different. And rather than just take it on face value and say, I'm going to list it on this date, we're going to put it up at this price, here are the comps. It's really a personal, like my clients call me about things that aren't necessarily real estate. And I like that. I can't do that for 150 people a year. And that's why the team is here. And the team is trained just like I'm trained, which is this is a relationship business. And if you want to really know somebody, you ask a lot of questions and you put yourself in their shoes. And then you say, based on my experience, based on my knowledge, can I give them the right path? Can I walk them down it?
Oh, God, no, that's good. This leads me to actually we have a question from Jordan here. Do you have a favorite book or podcast that you recommend?
Oh, for me, I really like Ed Milet, to be honest with you. And then, oh gosh, for books, I've got a ton of them up here, but I am right now reading Mind Shift, and I'm trying to remember the gentleman's name. I'm really big right now on anything that tries to remind me that my reality is created within my own head. And I have 2 ways of thinking of anything that happens to me. One is a positive and one is a negative. And it's getting rid of the negative self-talk. It's the positive. That's what I'm drawn to. And I can pull up. I don't really read a lot because as soon as I get to page 3, I fall asleep.
I'm a big Audible guy.
I'll blame age on that. But let me pull up Audible. I'll give you 2 or 3. Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, that's a good one.
I thought was really neat. I'm reading The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest right now. Atomic Habits I did a class on last week. That's incredible. You and I both read The Coaching Habit.
I'm reading Super Coach right now.
Yeah. And The Obstacle is the Way, which is Ryan Holiday. And then I'm going to read Never Finished by David Goggins because he always gets me fired up.
Is that a new book by him?
Yeah, it was his second one.
Yeah, because I read or listened to Can't Hurt Me. Is that right?
Yeah, Can't Hurt Me was really good. He just gets you. There's a couple of different aspects that I've tried to embrace. I really liked, like Goggins is like it doesn't matter, dude. You get it done. You just get it. It's that grinder mentality, which a lot of us, I would say, fell victim to, which is you outwork, you out hustle, you outdo. And then what I realized was when I do that and I focus just on my business, then my personal life suffers. And my wife feels like, hey, I'm important too. Then I've got to come back to a balance. And then so that's when the Matthew McConaughey book kind of hit, which was, you're here right now. You're not here to what happened to you in the past, and you're not to you in the future. You're here, like you and I are here right now having a conversation, worrying about something that was going on there. Like you and I had a conversation yesterday about it, probably the worst thing that happens to a real estate agent that produces, and that's in the past. So right now we focus on this, and that has been the biggest struggle, because I had always had a mentality of, you need more, you need to get further, you need to get higher, you need to go. And then when you achieve that goal, then you got to push the bar more and you got to go. And what I realized was that there's no finish line. So if you can't enjoy the journey and the process, then you're missing out on the whole thing. Like literally, in 5 to 10 years, you and I will be having a conversation about, remember the time you were on the podcast? And we're like, dude, those were good days. Remember the market was like, we don't know what's going to happen. Interest rates. And everybody was freaking out. But this is the way it worked out. And everybody was fine. Like these are the good old days that we will talk about.
You reminded me of that not too long ago, because everybody, what the competitive side is, want to always keep going. But, I've been out in Baltimore and doing stuff on the golf course and enjoying stuff and having meetings on the course. But that leads to another quick question here is, what advice do you have for agents getting into the business that you wish was told to you when you got started?
It was probably told to me, and I just didn't pay attention to it. If you're getting into the business, plan everything as 2 years. Don't give yourself a month or 2 months or 3 months. I would say you've got to fight for 2 years and stay in the business, because you've got an 80% attrition rate within the first 2 years. So 80% of your competition is going to walk away. It takes a while to get people, even if they know you, like you, and trust you, to actually say, hey, I'll give you this trend, you can help me on this. Because they're competing with guys like me. I mean, if you just got your license and your brother-in-law is going to sell a house, I come in with 20 years worth of experience of dealing with these situations. And then you're like, I need a deal. Okay. Let everybody that know what you're doing. Like, hey, this is what I'm doing. If you have an opportunity for me to help somebody, I'd love to do it. I would find a mentor or 2 or 3 or 5 within the industry. I specifically sought out 2 top producers in my town and tried to get close to them to just kind of watch them, see what they did, see how they did it. And what I realized was that they weren't at all like me. They were totally different people. So I couldn't really use a whole lot from them, except they knew a lot of folks. So influence and your ability to create relationships is imperative in this business, because it is a relationship business.
You kind of echo that, because my next question is, the most common mistake that agents make that contributes to get out of the business. I want to say 87% to go to the first year. I know when we're bringing agents on our team, I tell them the first year, similar to what you just said, you're a farmer, not a hunter. And I think people just think they're going to get in here, this is an easy business, and they have no idea what they're stepping into.
That's easy to say if you have money saved up and you know what your monthly expenses are and you're okay with it. But the problem is nobody plays the infinite game. Everybody plays a right now, right? So what's going on right now? I need money right now. So I like to incorporate a hunter and a farmer. Everything I do is for long term. I want to meet people, because at some point in time I may need their services. I mean, I don't know. I love connecting. So I want to connect this guy to this guy because I see it. But at the same time, I want to deal. So that's when open houses come in. That's when responding quickly to leads come in. There has to be a sense of urgency, but at the same time, you have to understand There is no clock. There is no finish line. This will go on as long as you want it to go on. And the hardest part in that whole beginning is you have to keep the positive mindset, because if you're on Instagram and you're watching agents that are closing deals all the time or just listed another one, what happens is you tell yourself, oh, they're way better than you. And, oh, how did they do that? And I still fall into that sometimes. I'm like, they got that listing. Oh, I can't believe they would use them. And then I'm like, Mike, you're doing it again.
Yeah, just being human. It's tough.
You're going there.
Yeah.
Doesn't help anybody.
Very cool. So tell us about Reno. How's the market there?
Bro, Reno is sick. I mean, my wife and I have traveled not quite all across. There are a couple of states we don't care to go to. If you like outdoor activities, if you like a little bit of snow and some days that get into the high 90s, but with very low humidity, if you love Lake Tahoe, you like to go hiking, camping, biking, canoeing, anything. There's literally nothing. Surfing's probably the only sport you can't do. So if you're active and you like a moderate climate, it's a wonderful place. It's getting a little bigger than it used to be. It's probably about twice the size as it was when I started this 20 years ago. Like I showed my wife, I took her out to a couple showings last night, and she doesn't really get out of her bubble. So she drives the same streets. She sees the same things. And our town's very small. From one end to the other is 35, 40 minutes. It used to be 20, 25. And she's like, when did this happen? When did those apartments go up? So it's changing. I don't think any nice, beautiful city that borders California isn't, because we're getting so many people that are just trying to leave the state. But
what's your average sales price there?
My average sales price is about $750.
Okay.
And then the median's around $6. It's just
we're right around 575 now in Wake County, where Raleigh is. So, but we're up in the average sales price in January 2020 was 360. So it is low. We have 60 to 80 people moving here a day. So we're running out of dirt. It's funny, when I started in 06, they said we had about 20 years of growth, and they weren't lying. We're right on the doorstep. We're getting any nook and cranny we can. Yeah. How much inventory do you guys have?
Oh, about 2 months.
Yeah, we're about 6 weeks. And I know you mentioned rates, and anybody that says they know what's going to happen doesn't know what's going to happen. We all are guesstimating. But what do you see, this summer and the end of the year with the real estate market, maybe on a macro level, as well as a micro? I know each market's different. We're very much still in a seller's market, price point dependent, obviously location. We got to still price things correctly, especially with the buying power and the rates. But, what do you see?
I see sellers still trying to push price points, and it's keeping them stagnant on the market rather than just, no seller wants to go lower than the last comp. It's very much symbolic, or at least it resembles the feeling of like 2007. But I think the way it's going to play out is going to be a lot different. If there were a trigger that would get people to release homes, in 2008, it was their values had dropped so much because lending restrictions had been put in place. So in this case, interest rates went up. In that case, a lot of loans went away. So you went from no doc, stated income, things like that, made money cheap and easy. The interest rate wasn't 2.5%, but money was easy. And that's about the same thing when you're talking 4% rates. So the difference here is interest rates, which is an artificial thing because the Fed's are doing it, restricts the buyer's ability to live in a neighborhood. And I don't think that even if we saw prices drop 5 to 10%, it would force people out, because those people have 2.5 to 3.5% mortgages, and their monthly payment is cheaper. And this was the biggest thing. 2008, you could do a short sale of your house and you could rent the same house in the same neighborhood for cheaper than what your mortgage payment had been. You can't do that now. So these guys, to get them to let go of a 2.5, 3.5% interest rate, they're going to have to change neighborhoods, and they're not going to do it. They're in nice homes. And even if the value goes down a little bit, it's simply a number that means nothing to them because it's equity. And most of them will say, well, it's a cycle, because that's really all this is. And every cycle has ups and it has downs. I think this one will probably last for another 12 to 24 months, it'll stabilize and you'll be back to 5 to 8% growth, which will still outpace inflation. So
yeah, no, that's perfect. That's kind of what we're seeing and thinking here. And what's interesting is people are still out there buying, and there's still people selling. There's still
doing it.
They're still there, and I think this market's the best for buyers that couldn't compete 2 to 3.
So
especially getting into the home in our market, and then for the sellers, it's just a matter of personal situations of why they need to move on.
mm-hmm.
There are some people too that, whether we've helped that just to solidify or credit card where let's utilize this equity and we'll go rent temporarily and then buy. So there's always options. There's a lot of different scenarios out there.
Yeah. Everyone is unique and different, but I'm gonna, as soon as you and I are done, I jump in the car for another buyer that has $700,000 out of a 1031 coming from California. It's going to buy a $700,000 house.
Yeah,
and they're going to rent it.
All right.
Somebody's going to get into that neighborhood for $2,500 a month, where the houses are selling for $650.
Yeah,
so it's going to be way lower than what they would have to pay
a mortgage. So, well, I'm going to pivot here, because you are not only a realtor but are a coach, and I'm one of your students, which I'm very proud to say. And you're a co-founder at B Coaching and Consulting. It's a new company, in the last 6 months, I'd say. I know it was probably in the works, but tell everyone listening out there about B and what made you want to partner with it and get into coaching.
Well, the reason I wanted to get into coaching is I had left the industry, the coaching industry, at the end of 22. And I left because the market was going to go the way I thought it was going to go. And I didn't want to have to be told what to tell. In all honesty, I didn't want to have to tell agents that they had to tell their clients that they needed to marry the house and date the rate. I just didn't think it was fair. And that's, you get told what to tell. So I left thinking, we'll kind of let it simmer down and see what happens. And I coached agents in the office, and I coached my team, and I would take calls with team leaders across the U.S. And I got a phone call from a good buddy that used to coach with me. And a group of us got together and decided, hey, let's start a coaching company that's different, that is more about life and more about dealing with the stresses that not just come with this industry, but let's not make it all about the money. Let's make it about who we are and the impact that we have on the people that we have influence over. So we started a coaching company that is based around best practices within the industry. It's a very, it's a collective group of agents across the nation that believe they should be contributing to their communities. They should be good role models. They should do the right thing. They should work hard. They should have balanced lives. And at the end of the day, they should leave a positive impact. And that is helping other agents become better in their business, in their personal lives, as parents. Just wanted a positive coaching company that was supportive and not a drill sergeant. So
yeah, and Mike, for everyone listening out there and watching, Mike's being modest. Everyone that's leading us are rock stars, and you're right. Yeah, you're rock stars, and it's people we want to aspire to be, not only on the field but off the field, as I like to have my coaching acronym there. But that's the reason that if anybody listening or wants more information about B, let me know, because the other cool thing is there's different levels that B offers, where if you're just wanting to kind of get your feet wet, know what coaching's about. Because me being a former coach, not only in basketball but just waking up every day employed, I know I need that direction, I need that accountability to help me reach the goals that I want. As well as what's awesome is you'll say, hey Terb, get out of the office, go breathe. That's important. And I kind of touched on it, but why do you think someone needs a real estate coach? Because I think people hear it and they may hear the cost or the money they may have to put forward, and that intimidates them. But it's like, once you get in it, then you have someone else that's helped pushing you to where you want to go. So do you have something to comment or add to that?
Well, I think I think that anybody that wants to get better at something goes and finds somebody. If I want to get better at golf, I hire a golf coach. If I want to get stronger and better in shape, then I go hire a personal trainer. It's the same thing. The thing that we offer is a community. And I think that's incredibly important too, because I think that if you go back to the adage that says you are the sum total of your 5 closest friends, things like that, you are who you hang out with. Your reality is based around what people tell you. Our thing is you can be whatever you want. That's how we came up with the name. The name be is simply the word that defines the state. And our question is who do you want to be? And if this is who you want to be, but you're not that person, because everybody listening does something in their life as a habit, as a vice, whatever, that doesn't align with who they think they should be. So we just go through and say, hey, let's look at who you are, and let's change who you are. Because if this is who you want to be, what are the things that this me does? And let's do those things, right? So it's extremely powerful to have people around you saying you can do it. I wouldn't be where I am now if I never went into a coaching program. I wouldn't be where I am now if I didn't have people around me that said, hey, you're screwing this up, knock it off. I'll be the first one to say I've been a broken individual. I've done stupid stuff when I'm young, and you learn doing it yourself. Yeah, you could. You'd have to be incredibly disciplined. And you'd have to go find the roadmap. So all we did was say, hey, there are a lot of people in this, especially in this business, that are dealing with financial whiplash over the last 2 years. They went from making this, now they're making this. Their whole identity was based around, I make $500,000 a year. I've got a brand new car. I've got a brand new house. Well, all of a sudden you're making $250,000, and you just go, who am I? And it is such a large group of really good people that just need a place to go. And they just need some help, and they need some structure, and they need some accountability. And I may not be the best. I'm okay. I'm decent, but my coaches are like lights out. I mean, if you want a drill sergeant that will make you do exactly what it is you're supposed to do, we have them. If you need somebody that just need some support and some guidance, and how do I go from being a solo agent to a team of 5? Let's map that out. Here's what the back end looks like. Here's what the front end. Everybody wants to achieve. They don't even know what that achievement really looks like or what's involved in it. So those are the kinds of conversations that we have. The idea is you and I and everyone listening has unlimited potential. They just need a roadmap to help them realize it.
That's awesome. No, you're exactly right. And I got a couple more questions before we get to the rapid questions. You're going to love it.
God. You could have sent
No, that's the whole part about it. Where do you see yourself or your in business in 5 years?
In 5 years? In 5 years, I will be closing 3 transactions a month. My team will take every lead. But those 3 will be really close personal friends of mine that I work with, that everybody else, including past clients, will be introduced to an agent that was specifically tailored for them, and they'll be taken care of at a very high level. But I will work in my business no more than 10 hours a week, and I will coach 10 hours a week, and I will travel once a month to an event, and I will public speak once a month. That's what my business looks like in 5 years. And I'll make $1 million a year.
That's a good 5-year vision, or a 5-year plan. I want to be on the plan too. But you had me write a note 5 years from now. Remember that, or a letter to myself, and a year. So, all right, rapid questions. This is fun, man. You have no idea what's coming your way. All right, favorite food.
I don't know if this is gonna be fun.
favorite food.
Oh gosh, yeah. In all honesty, it's probably sushi. I've never really thought about it, but I love hamburgers. It's probably sushi.
Yeah. Favorite restaurant? Could be local, could be national.
There's an Italian restaurant called Zozo's in Reno that I really enjoy.
Favorite band?
Oh, Van Halen. Van Halen back in the 80s or Rush.
Did you see them in concert?
I saw Van Halen and I saw Rush both. Yeah.
Wow. Favorite cocktail?
So this is gonna be terrible. Everybody's going, I knew that. IPAs. Yeah.
Any specific brand, or you just like them all?
Stereotypical.
Like a hazy, or do you like?
I like the Sierra Nevada hazy.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah. Well, I'm limiting until October because I've got to get down 15 pounds. So
yeah, you do.
Favorite sports team?
Sports team. I wish I could switch, but it's the Cowboys.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I love this.
I'm learning. I'm even learning more now. This is good.
I know.
What do you like to do when you're not working?
To be honest with you, I like to learn. So when I'm not working, I am watching TED Talks on YouTube. I'm learning a lot of technology stuff because what I found is that complacency is frustrating to me. So I try to put on a new challenge and learn something constantly. And right now it's technology. I'm having a really hard time with it, which is good because I like to struggle.
I like that. What's one thing that someone would maybe not know about you? Like it'd be like, oh my gosh, you do that, or it could be a surprise.
That somebody would not know about me. That I'm extremely anti-ego. That if you have a flat tire in a parking lot, I'm probably the first one to pull over to help you.
Nice, like that. Best place you visited?
The best place I visited?
Yep.
London. My wife and I were in London, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
You just were in Paris too, right?
In Paris, yeah. Oh, Paris was nice. You know what I didn't like about Paris? They speak French. They don't speak English. That's the only thing.
I went to London in 2019 for the Panthers Bucks game, and that was my first trip. And I drank a lot of Guinness. The beers there is different. It's not it's like flatter, it doesn't have the carbonation. So I drank a lot of Guinness and is it Stella? Stella maybe.
Yeah, Stella. Or the problem is there's not a lot of carbonation.
Yeah.
So
what's the Italian beer?
I know which one you're talking about. I can see it.
Anyway, we drank that. That was a really cool trip. The other trip I did was with my father. We did a Band of Brothers tour trip in 2016. My dad's a veteran, Air Force, loves America, loves this country. And I still love Band of Brothers. And I was watching Memorial Day 2015 when they do the marathon. I'm like, I wonder if they have a tour group that takes you, through what the Easy Company went. And of course, they have a Beyond Band of Brothers tours. Unfortunately, that one didn't make it through COVID. They have a Stephen Ambrose Band of Brothers, but we did. My folks were 5 days ahead of me. They did Paris, and I got over to 2 days Paris. And then my mom flew home, and the dad and I did 4 days in Normandy. We went to Belgium, the Battle of Bulge, went through Luxembourg, went through, ended up in Munich, went up to the Eagles. And it was the most amazing trip. And it was actually, side note, the first time I ever saw my father cry. Wow. We were in Omaha Beach, and that was because he never been. So that's a surreal moment. So on my within the next couple of years, my daughter wants to do Paris, and so I want to take them over, and I want to take Jacob because he's a big history guy for me. Take him to Normandy and see that. Cool. It's like going back in time,
Yeah, yeah. We did that. My dad and I did a trip down. We went through Nashville, and then we ended up in New Orleans. Caught a college football game with his team, and spent 5 days together.
That's cool. Yeah, it was 11-day tour, and it was awesome. It was really cool. Awesome.
Good for you.
A place you want to visit that you haven't been?
Ooh, I'd like to go to Greece.
That would be beautiful.
Yeah.
Dinner with two people, either dead or alive. Who would it be?
Oh, that's a good one. Gosh, two people dead or alive. Let's go Elon Musk and Abraham Lincoln.
That'd be very good conversations.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. That's cool. All right, last one. The the rapid question started about 30, 40 episodes. I can't remember. But this question I've been asked everyone because eventually when the Super Terb Podcast retires, I have to go back and I can even make a book. But it's and then have it because there's no wrong answer.
I love that.
Yeah. Best advice you've ever received and by who?
I don't know who said it. The best advice that I've ever heard was you can do it. It doesn't matter what it is. You can do it. Like, it's literally that easy.
Yeah. I love it. Mine is finish. It was my old high school coach. Never said a curse word, but he could get after it. His favorite word was stinking. But he'd always say, you finish what you started. And it's been very instrumental. And what's interesting is like when I'm coaching my son or I coached him in basketball or kids, they miss a layup. They have a tendency to run it back, throw it back to the end of the line. I'm like, no, finish, make the layup. If you start a job, finish it. You know, there's times that it's not pleasant or you're not happy, but if you commit to something, finish.
I like that. I had a coach as soon as you said that, it reminded me. I had a football coach in high school that said the eyes have it. And he just kept repeating it. He said, the eyes have it. Now he's talking to 40 high school football players, all down on a knee, all looking up. And he's scanning the crowd. And he just kept saying, the eyes have it. And none of us really, but we're locking eyes with him. And he said, if you're talking to somebody, you look them in the eye.
I love that because I think my son's generation has a hard time with that because they're always looking down at the phone. So I got to remind my son, who's a little shy, introvert, I'm like, when you shake hands, you look them in the eye. If you have a hard time looking at the eye, you look at the forehead.
I like that. Or look at my crease, like right here.
Yeah, right there. But that's good, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. For real quick, obviously, I have you tagged on everything, but if anybody needs to move to Reno, tell them how to get a hold of you. Obviously, anybody coming from the 919, I'll be sending them your way.
I love it. If you want to make your way out west, hit me up at emails mike@renos with an S, realtor.com. You can find me on Instagram at Mike Wood Team, or search Facebook, anything else, or check out our website at gobegreat.com.
Yeah, he's a good follow, everybody. Go follow him. You got good video, good content. So, well, all right, man. Well, this was fun. I know I could talk forever, but I got to do some marketing, ask CMAs and stuff here. But this was a blast. Everybody out there, listen, if you like the show, please subscribe. If you're a local business owner, entrepreneur, coach, you name it, shoot me an email. I'd love to get you on the Super Terb Podcast. If there's anything we can be doing to help you accomplish real estate goals, please reach out to me. Again, it's Michael Turbot, your local real estate expert with the Turbot Group, a.k.a. Super Terb. Remember, who you work with matters, and I'll see you next time.